Hey everybody, Cool Marine here. Welcome back. So it's time. Here we go. We're working on our first block, New York Beauty, and we're gonna go through it slow and by the steps. Remember, we're gonna walk and hold hands for our new quilters. And first block. Okay, so we're going out of the book. So that block is called the Fairy Penguin, and in the book it's on page 24. Dazzling New York Beauty sampler by Cinzia White. And this is the block, Fairy Penguin, B8. This is the one we're going to work on. The very first one, okay? So we're going to go step by step. So in building this block, this is like a 10-inch. The whole block is around 10 inches, 10.5 inches in that zone, okay? So we're going to pre-cut. We're going to need pre-cuts, all right? So look at these. So what I did was I copied down this block, this portion of the block, right? So these spikes right here are at about 7 inches. So what I did was I pre-cut strips, okay? They're about 6.5 inches. I pre-cut strips that are 7, okay? Because we want to go beyond the edge, right? And we're going to go with some yellow, right? So I pre-cut these strips. They're over here. And I've used cardboard. I've looked for other materials. I'm still looking for other materials, but the cardboard helps me. All right, and I can get rid of it fast. It's disposable. No worries, okay? So we're gonna take our time on this, all right? No worries, don't stress it out. So first things first, you're gonna have to print or copy this portion of the block. And in the book, that piece is Unit B. It's on page 1. No, Unit B is on page 2, I'm sorry. Unit B is on page 2. We open up page 2, you find it, trace it out, copy it, do what you gotta do to get it. And remember how she has the pages on here. They're two-sided, so you have to be careful if you're using a tracing pad or a light pad to trace through. I find it easier if you just put the whole page on a copy machine, you know, adjust it to where you need it, print it out on a piece that's 11 by 17, and then bring it over here and you're ready to go. All right, no worries. All right, next thing we want to do is we want to fold, okay, our print off, okay? So you want to fold on the lines, okay, because you need the fold. So the printed line, these lines are your stitch line, but the fold is for your quarter inch, your add a quarter ruler, okay? All right, because there's going to be fabric sticking out on this side, and you need your add a quarter ruler on the fold so you can cut and then add pieces of fabric or your strips to that add a quarter cut that you just made, okay? So let's go ahead and fold on the lines, all right? So on smaller blocks, it's really easy to fold on the lines because you could find something with an edge, with a small edge to fold over. All right, look, this is what I'm using, all right? Nothing super high tech. My wife found this somewhere, so I'm gonna use this to keep my edges straight. So let's take a look at how we're gonna do that. As a matter of fact, let's put it on a light pad. Okay, let's act bougie today. Let's turn on our high-speed light pad here. Look at that. Bling! Look at that. Okay, so this is what I use to trace this out. So I'm just going to put this on an edge. Right? So I'm not going to put it on the line. I'm going to put a little bit off the line to account for the fold over the edge of the cardboard. Okay, and I'm just going to fold it over. That's good, right? And I just stay on the same side. I don't go to the opposite side. All right, we're going to fold it all these lines on the same side because this is going to be a reference point for our outer quarter ruler when we start adding our strips of fabric, okay? On the line, just fold it over here. Now, these folds are really, really, really easier, or they stay more sturdy when you're using regular print paper, okay? But it can be done. I'm using parchment paper, okay? It can be done on parchment paper. Use what you got. Don't break your bank, all right? Because remember, this is gonna all end up in the trash anyway, okay? Fold it over. All right, so a guy like me with no fingernails, it's a little rough, okay? I'm using flesh to add my crease, okay? Not a fingernail. But those of you with fingernails, it'll be a lot easier, I'm sure, okay? Now I'm gonna fold that over. Okay, so when we come back, this will be all creased, and I'll show you all the creases, okay? Okay, so we got our lines folded, right? Look at that. It's kind of maybe hard to see. Let's turn this off. Oh, look how that fades to black. Look at that. Okay, so you can see the folds in there, right? And this is what we're going to be using later on. Okay, so with this block, with this piece itself, the 1/4 inch seam, a 1/4 inch hasn't been added, all right? So that's the raw edge, all right? So you're gonna have to account for that because we don't wanna take away from the tips, these very fine points on these lines, okay? So you don't wanna be adding your 1/4 on this line. We're gonna have to account for that later on. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna add my own 1/4 inch dotted line on here, okay? Just so that you have a reference point to know that if you went a 1/4 inch inside, you're going to be stealing away from these points. We don't want to do that, all right? We want our 1/4 inch on the outside, okay? So let me put some, it's going to be real easy. I want to be able to teach it, all right? So all you're going to be doing is simple, real simple. Even with my add a 1/4 ruler, all right, look at that. We're just going to add a 1/4. Look at that, add a 1/4 right there. Put a little hash mark, and just keep going all the way around. All right, add a 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch right there, hash mark, just to keep us honest. Okay. Nothing super high speed. This way we know we have a reference point to where when we're adding it to the other pieces, we're going to be all right. Okay, so when I come back, it'll be all the way around. Okay, so I added a 1/4 inch around, okay? It's not accounted for in the book, but I added a 1/4 on here because I want to play it safe. Because you're going to be putting in some work here. And it'd be very, very disappointing that once you put on your points and you add it to the outer edge or the outer piece and the inner piece, this arc here, and you're taking away from all the work that you did, okay? So we're just gonna add a 1/4 just to be safe, all right? We wanna be safe when we're building this, all right? There's a lot going into it, and we wanna account for every inch. All right, so we got our piece here. So let's start, okay? So the very first thing is you're going to decide what color or what pattern you're going to go with. So on this one, this is what we're going to do. So on my points, I'm going to be using this right here. This is a Robert Kaufman fabric here, right? And the big space right here will be the yellow. That's what we're going to be going with, all right? All right, looks bad through this. Hold on, let's turn this off. Yeah, this is what we're going with, okay? Yeah, this is going to be cool looking. Now, with the Robert Kaufman, with the bubbles, it's the fading one. So I want to make sure that they're all in the right direction, okay? I don't want them alternating. See how it's light to dark? So I want them all starting in the same direction. So I'm going to lay them out like that. Okay, so the very first thing, let's make this manageable. I'm going to cut some of this outer edge out, okay? So, all right, those aren't my fabric scissors, look, all right? Those are other scissors. All right, so let's take it over here to the work area. Okay, so when we're working on this, lines are for stitches, folds are for fabric, okay? Lines are for stitches, folds are for fabric, because we're using this to adjust for that, all right? So here we go. First line, right here, all right? So that's obviously, we don't want the points right here, we want to have the purple. The outer edge is going to be yellow, okay? So what I'm going to do is, outer edge here, I'm going to fold it over. I'm going to put my fabric on there, and I'm going to pin. All right, I'm going to pin that. I'm going to pin it inside the zone. You can see right here, I'm going to pin it in that zone right there. All right, you want to make sure that you're at edge to edge, right? I'm going to pin it. Okay. Look at that. All right, you want to see how it's covered in that zone right here, right? Okay, so let's fold it on the line. See that line, that pre-fold? That's why we want those pre-folds. We need that line right there, okay? All right, so we're gonna put our outer quarter on there. On that pre-fold, the outer quarter, and because of the lip inside the outer quarter, it's gonna drop right into place on the fold. You can almost hear it. All right, it's right in place. Rotary cutter. Cut that off. Get rid of that. Okay, so now we have our straight edge here. All right, that's the edge. Okay, so we're gonna roll this over, right? Remember, we've already pre-folded. So let's go to the next fold line. Let's lay that down here. Okay, let's make it easy for ourselves. All right, you don't want to stretch and manipulate the fabric. It has to relax, okay? You don't want it distorted. All right, so let it lay down. We'll come right back on the very next fold line, okay? Add a quarter ruler, add it in. It's in. Let's cut that, okay? Be careful with your rotary cutter, all right? Quilts don't look good with blood on them. All right, so now, look at that. So we have our edge here, right? So we're gonna add our second fabric. Now, be careful, right side's facing all the time, all right? So I'm gonna go with, so this is a small arc. I don't know if you can see that, but at the bottom is a small arc. So I'm going with the lighter part of the fabric at the bottom, right side facing. Okay, and let's gonna pin this again. Okay, so we have the edge matched up, right? So what's next? Lines are for stitches, right? We're gonna go to the machine and stitch. All right, let's go to the machine. All right, so this is what you don't want to do, all right? You are not going to be stitching on the same side as the fabric, all right? Same side of the fabric, we don't want to do that. We want to use the paper, all right? The paper is going to keep us on point, okay? Now, because this is like parchment paper, you can see through it, but this is where you want to stitch at, all right? See this line? This is our stitch line, and this is what we're going to work on, okay? So come to the machine here. Now, on parchment paper, on this parchment paper, my stitch length is a 2. But if this was regular white, 11 by 17, it would be a 1, okay? Because I don't want to damage my stitches, all right? Using good old-fashioned all-American thread, no special thread or anything, okay? Just want to stay on your line there. Okay, that's the head of the pin that just went by. Sorry. Okay, now that we've done our stitch line, all right, we're gonna go back over and open this up on the back side, okay? Let's pull our pin here. Let's pull our pin here. And you wanna finger crease this, okay? Finger crease, all right? We're not gonna be using any iron on this. And what's next, right? The very next line to fold on. All right, this line right here, we have a fold. All right, we'll fold on that. We're gonna add our quarter ruler, on the edge, right there. And let's cut. Yeah, there's a bunch of back and forth on this, okay? Okay, so we're gonna add our second yellow strip here. All right, remember we're already pre-cut right there, right? Because we did our outer quarter right there, right? Let's pin. Now you don't necessarily have to pin close to the edge because we want to avoid, well, with my pins, all right, if you have thinner, without these big, large heads on them, you'd go probably closer to the edge, but I'm just going to pin, all right? Just pin it. Just want to keep my fabric in place. All right, let's take it to the machine. Take your time to stay on the line. Go all the way through. All right, I usually try to go to the edge. Pull our pin here. Let's open this thing up. All right, so there's a bunch of back and forth you got to do. All right, so let's use our imaginary thumbnail here to get that edge done. Okay, and now what we're gonna do next? We need to cut it, right? So put the back over to we stitched here already. So what's the next line? Right here. Fold it on that line. Add a quarter, right? Let's find the edge there. There we go. The add a quarter is going to help you because it's just going to sink right into place. Now we're going to cut. We're going to repeat the process, okay? Do not get distracted by or think that, because you know this goes opposite of what you're used to, because you're sewing on the opposite side of your fabric and you're not sewing on your fabric. I mean, you're not putting stitches on your fabric, okay? So we did our add a quarter there. So we last did yellow, right? So we're going to add some bubbles. Remember to keep my lighter bubbles at the bottom. Right side's facing. Okay, we could pin. Pin that. Okay, so something to pay attention to. When you're using like parchment paper or my Missouri Star Quilt Company paper piecing paper, you have to pay attention. Don't pay attention to what you see through the paper, all right? This is another reason why I like using regular printer paper, because it's going to keep you blind to what's going on the other side. Because this could really throw you off, right? You're seeing this line where your fabric is lined up and you're assuming that you need to, you know, stay on that. No, okay, let's follow the lines. We're gonna stitch on the lines. Like I said, the lines are for stitches and the fold is for the quarter, all right? All right, so I'm gonna start off of the edge. Come in. Right on the line. Stay on the line there. We'll try to, at least. Coming off the line, straight through, okay? Bring it back, flip it over, pull your pin, open it up. Alright, so we just stitched, so the next line is what we're working on. So we're going to fold on that line. We need to cut, right? Fold on this line here. Add a quarter. Next, some yellow. Okay, so all you high speed pros out there, you probably don't need to pin every time, but we're walking people through the quilting woods here. We want to pin. Okay, let's take it to the machine. I'm not going to manipulate the fabric. We're going to keep it in place, all right? Over, right? Next fold line, right here. And the fold lines are just to help you, you know, I mean, you don't want to be folding while you're doing this. You need those pre-folded here. Give you a nice true edge to work with, so you can put your outer quarter ruler on there. Keep it moving. Okay. And that's all it is. We're flipping back and forth, okay? Get a purple piece. We might be able to fit something that we've already done. Look at that. We already cut this. All right, let's try not to waste it, right? Right side's facing. Let's go ahead and pin it. Keep it in place and take it to the machine. Very next line. Simple, back and forth, okay? Now, when you're stitching on the lines, I like to come all the way off this line right here, because when you're tearing the paper off, it'll help you assist you. It'll help you get these pieces off, especially if you're using normal paper, okay? Pull the pin. Okay. All right, so we have our yellow on. So just, all we're doing is back and forth, all right? Staying in the zone, all right? Edge to edge. Align my purple. Let's make sure the lighter end is at, okay? edge to edge here. Let's pin. You know what? I'm not going to pin. Let's just go to the table. Taking it over, okay? Now that we're over here, let's make sure that we're, look at that, we're still lined up, all right? Let's put it under the machine. Okay, so let's see what it looks like when we go to a 1 stitch length, okay? Let's put our PQ 1500 SL on 1, all right? Now the thing about a 1 stitch length too is, you know, it goes slower, so you're gonna be a lot more accurate, okay? Let's go. On a 1. It took like 30 minutes to get through there, but that's pretty cool. All right, let's roll it over. Look at that, without the pin. Let's go ahead and push that down. All right, what's next? We gotta cut this, right? So let's roll it over. We already stitched. We stitched on this line. See, look at that. See when it's a 1? See how it already tore open the paper? All right. All right. So we're on the next line, right? Next line over. Fold it over. Let's get our fold going. Add a quarter. All right. And cut. I'm going to save that because we can use this later for another piece. All right. What's next? Yellow, right? Still some yellow on here. Let's make sure. You hear that noise, right? That's Gunner chewing on his ball. So, all right, so edge to edge here. Let's take it to the machine. Next line. Still on 1. Open that up. Finger press that edge. Okay. We'll cut this, right? Next fold line. Okay. We'll go back to, all right, 1/4 inch. Just add a quarter ruler there for a 1/4 inch and cut. Next piece is purple bubbles. Right side's facing. Let's take it to the tip. Hold on. Let's make sure we're edge to edge. All right, edge to edge there. Let's put a pin in here. I'm not feeling very confident. Let's put this pin in. Take it to the table. Going back to a 2. And the reason why I'm going back to a 2 is because see how my 1 is opening the paper, so it's distorting the curve. All right, so I want to stay on a 2. All right. No worries. Bring it back. Pull our pin. Let's open that up. with non-existent nails here. All right, let's roll it over and cut it. This is our next fold line, right? So let's fold it on that line. It's already pre-folded. Just lay it right on over. Add a quarter ruler and cut. Let's pull that off. Add a piece of yellow. All right, so do not flex the material. Let it lay, okay? Don't stretch it, don't pull it, let it lay. Next line, let's check it, make sure we are lined up. Starting off and coming on. Off, there we go. Finger press that, open. Then we need to cut it, right? Next line. Remember, we just stitched here. Next line. Let's fold that over. Get our outer quarter out. All right, let's get some purple bubbles on the subject here. Right side's facing. Let's pin this. Make sure we're all the way to the edge here. All right, let's pull this down just a little bit. All right, go to the machine. Still at 2 on stitch length, okay? Once you get into the rhythm, you're gonna fly through these things. No worries, okay? All right, so what's next? The cut, right? Fold it over. The next line, we just stitched, so that means we're cutting on this line. Let's get our fold going. Add a quarter. Let's cut. Looks like we're near the edge here, so the next piece will be a yellow piece. Edge to edge, okay? Got a pin. Okay, let's take it to the machine. Let's check it real quick. All right. Start off and then come back on, okay? Here we go. Line that up there. Okay, so we're off at the edge, right? Here's our edge and the quarter right there. So what we're going to do is fold right now, we're just going to cut at the quarter. All right, so that's our 1/4 inch right there, 1/4 at the edge. I'm just going to cut that. Let's go to the other side. There's a 1/4 line right here. Let's cut that too. Okay. So we have this curve arc in here, right? Okay, so remember, I added my little 1/4 inch tick lines here. So I'm just going to cut there, all right? Let's turn it this way. Keep it simple, all right? It's a rotary cutter. It's going to go where you want it to go, okay? And the outer edge. Rotary cutter. Remember, it's going to go where you want it to go. Be careful with your rotary cutter, please. I'm just going to stay on my tick lines, okay? No worries. Hold it in place. Nice and smooth. The rotary cutter is not going to do what you don't want it to do. You just got to be careful, because a rotary cutter will bite back. Let's pull this off here. So what we got is this. This will be the finished product. And I have 2 other pieces that we're going to be putting on here, right? So I've pre-cut this with a template, right? And I've also pre-cut this, this part right here that goes on the outside with a template, all right? So we're already 900 hours into this video. So when we come back, what we're going to do is we're going to attach those 3 together, and we're going to have our first big New York beauty block, all right? But don't get happy, because we got others to build, and I think that might have been the easiest of them. So get ready for a 7-day video on the next block, okay? But thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and remember, it's only fabric and it's only thread.